Welcome back everyone to more gameplay of Farming Simulator 22. And in today's video, I really am excited about updating you guys on No Man's Land and the status of my farm and the progress that I've made so far and what I hope to accomplish next. So I've talked in previous videos here on the No Man's Land map about how much I am loving the freedom. For those of you who might not have been aware, I highly recommend watching my previous videos where I did both a map tour as well as some gameplay here on the No Man's Land map. But essentially, this particular map starts you out with absolutely nothing. There are trees and rocks on the map, and that's it. No fields, no buildings, other than a few basic buildings to give you somewhere to buy animals from, buy your farm equipment, that kind of thing, but that's it. They are on the edge of the map, and there is nothing on the map itself, like I said, other than rocks and trees, and I am loving that freedom. So what we're seeing right now is what we saw last time. This was my existing farm, and I have started to grow it a little bit, and you can start to see some of that here on the right, but we'll get a much better look here momentarily. But the freedom that this map gives me is something that is a lot of fun, and I am finding that I am even more and more excited about the prospect of not removing the existing trees and the rocks on the map. So again, for those of you who might not be aware, there is an option that is actually right on the other side of those trees where you can actually get rid of all the trees on the map except for those around the border of the map itself, and all of the rocks. So you can see there's rock formations, and then there are freestanding rocks that will be such as the one you see there. And those are there just to give the map a little extra flavor, a little something other than just grass and hills everywhere. And I made a decision at the very beginning that I was not going to get rid of those because I wanted to try to work around them and with them as part of the environment, and I am so happy that I did exactly that. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to hop into this tractor. We need to hook it up to the planter over there, and we need to get some seeding done because you take a look in the top right hand corner, it is September, and that means it's time to plant, in our case, wheat. Now in the future I plan on doing some different things, but for right now wheat is where I want to be. So let's go ahead and grab this particular tractor. And we're going to hop over to the very end of our storage and pick up essentially the biggest seeder that I could get, because here on this map I am able to do one of the things that I love doing most on maps, and that is work with some huge fields. Now they're maybe not quite as huge as you could get on some 4X maps for sure, but they are a lot bigger than what I traditionally get on some of the more standard size maps. So here we go into a brand new area on the map. So let's hop out real quick and I'll show you guys exactly where the additions to the map start. So if you look back toward, this is the edge of the map that I was referring to with just a few things, a selling point, a place for maintenance, purchasing, and that kind of thing. They're over there. And this is the one road that runs through the map. Not very wide, which is why I have taken to expanding that. But the road continues on through there, and up until very recently, we have only been working to the right-hand side. So we've got our pig enclosure, we've got enclosures for sheep a little bit farther on, and multiple fields over in that direction, but everything is over there. Now I have started expanding a little bit out into the left-hand side. In fact, right over here, you see our grain mill. Now that grain mill is going to be very important to us because the next thing I wanted to do was set up some fields so that we could start creating our own bread. And the first step in that process after we get our wheat is to take it over to the grain mill where it can be converted into flour, and then we'll need a bakery, which we'll see here momentarily, to turn that flour into our bread. So let's go ahead and unfold this bad boy. I absolutely love this thing. Now, it is not my all-time favorite piece of equipment, but it is plenty wide on the working width, and it does everything I need it to do. So as we come up on this first field, Reason for this field's size and its shape is, well, two reasons. Number one, any rocks that I might find out here on the map are obviously, other than getting rid of them, I have to work around them. So that's one reason why certain fields might be a little bit shorter, a little bit more narrow, and so on. But then beyond that, I have, well, the fields themselves. The areas that we can purchase are numbered, and of course there are a lot of them, and we are currently just at the bottom edge of the map so far. But this one you can see is fairly large because I was able to get a good bit of distance here in what is area 45 as well as 55 without running into anything such as the huge groves of trees as well as the rocks and different things like that. But I also had to keep into account that I had boundaries for areas that I couldn't yet afford to purchase, so I simply had to go as far as I could with some of these, and this is the result. Now it's still early in the morning, so it's a little bit dark here on the map. Let's actually get this guy ready to go. So this is the created field. It has had nothing else done to it other than being created, which I did with a cultivator, because that is a separate mod that I downloaded, because at first I was doing all of this with a plow and it just took forever, and I have other things to do in my life than to create these huge fields with a very slowly operating plow. So we have in the top left hand corner, we have selected our seed, which I have changed over to wheat, and we are going to let the AI worker do this. So I'm going to hit H, and we're going to make sure he gets going. And there you can see, now he's actually going to take care of quite a bit on this field. So you notice that we have a 50% fertilization by default, and that is perfectly fine. Now I did not add lime, which I really needed to do, but that's okay. We'll take care of that a little bit later on. And now you can see that fertilization is going to go up to 100% as this guy takes care of it. So that is awesome. Again, I'll need to add some lime on there, and it looks like we need to roll this as well to get rid of any rocks that might be here. But this is going to be huge. This will be the first time that I have worked these new fields. I've spent my time trying to lay out the farm and the different road networks and all those sorts of things, but I have not yet worked the field. So I'm going to let this guy get to work. I had a lot of trees to clear in these areas because the map includes a lot of trees that are just randomly placed throughout, and getting rid of trees is now officially my least favorite thing ever in a farming simulator game. I am not a fan of the forestry. For those that enjoy it, I think that's awesome, but it is just not for me. And I have found so many glitches with the trees. Overall, they work okay. I'm able to get rid of them using the super strength mod. I'm able to simply get rid of them without having to grind stumps and really go into several different areas. But sometimes you get this. This is a tree I tried to get rid of, and it just simply would not go. It glitched out, and I was finally able to get the tree chopped down, and all but this portion of the stump is now gone. But I could not, despite my efforts, could not get rid of this, so it's just sitting there now. But over in this area, of course, obviously we've got a huge field here that we're currently working for the first time, but I've also got this area. Of course, we've got a nice area of trees here, which I really like and definitely do not want to get rid of. But then I had this area in the middle, and I really didn't have an area for the field that I wanted because we've got trees over in this area, and then if you look beyond, there's trees over in that area, which actually runs into a different area of the map that I had not yet purchased. And I thought this is a little bit too small for what I want for a field, so I decided to use it for storage and buildings. And here's what I have so far. So currently we're looking at some storage here for the grain. This is what we will use for our wheat, and then later on probably some barley and so forth, but we'll keep our grains there. And then right over here we have the first of our bakeries. And the reason I say the first of our bakeries is because I plan on having a rather large grain operation here on the field as we can, or on the farm as we continue to expand. And we're going to need at least 2 more of these, if not 3 more of these in the near future. So I'll get started on that now that we've got some money. Up until the last few days in game time, or months, as it turns out, I only had enough money to put down 1. So I'll definitely be expanding that, and we'll put down a few more bakeries so that we can make the bread in line with what the grain mill is able to supply. But this is our storage area, and I am constantly in awe of the sheer amount of land that is on this map. Because when I first set out, because I wanted to create, again, the road network running through here, and I wanted it to be plenty wide, which I feel like it is. This is the maximum size, in case you're wondering, whenever you are working with being able to do the painting. If you come under construction and then you go, let's see, is it landscaping or decoration? I can never remember. Landscaping. And then painting. Everything you see is with the widest square or rectangle brush that I can get. That's where this size comes from. So a very simple explanation for how these roads become the size they are. And then I ran this particular road right back into the one singular road that runs through the map by default. So there it is. And I did not widen it. I have not touched it other than to join into it. But then I realized that this area for storage and buildings and so forth is huge. I had not realized how big it was. Had I realized that, I might have turned it into another field after all. But you can see there's just so much room on this map, and I am loving it. So now that we're back to the one default road, then I decided to come out again, which was because of the rocks. So I tried to come right up to this rock, which is the closest rock to the field, and then I realized something has happened over here. I have no idea how this happened. But so essentially I made this field as big as I could with the area that I owned, and now this tree has respawned in my field. Now I can tell you 100% this tree was not here when I created this field, because, well, I couldn't have created the field around this tree. So it has respawned. I'm not sure, didn't know that was a thing on this map, but it has respawned. So now I'm going to show you guys. I've left it here on purpose so that I could show you guys the process that I try to go through to remove these using the Super Strength mod. Now, like I said, most of the time it works perfect, especially with the smaller trees, meaning that they're not quite as thick as some of the bigger trees. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit higher here. And then there we go. One more click. It gets rid of that. That's how it's supposed to work. It gets rid of that altogether, but as we've just seen right over there, that doesn't always work. Then I come over here, click on that one. That one's gone. Click on that one, and now it's all gone. When things are going well, that's how it works. And I am such a huge fan of that mod for providing that capability, because, as I said, I am not a fan of the forestry in this game. It's just not something that is for me, and I have no desire to sell the logs. I know you can make some money selling the logs when you cut down the trees and so forth. I would rather just them be gone. So actually the perfect mod for me, I guess, would be to where I can go up, touch it with the chainsaw, and the whole thing disappears. That would be perfect for me. So as we look around on this, and again, let me back out a little bit so that you can see this actually on the map itself and how this corresponds to the existing fields that we had. So we had 4 existing fields, and these are their sizes. Here is the new field on 46, and then a much larger field here on 45. This is the new standard, and I wish I could get more of these, but as you look around on this map, there you see a grove over there. I believe those are olives, either olives or grapes. And I'll actually have to see. I don't even know if those are actually here or if that's just where the field would be. Same thing here. You see one more field there. And as we continue to push farther and farther outward, whether it's north and south or east and west, we're going to start to run into some of those things, and I'll have to make a decision about where I want to go with that. But this is all that we have right now, and that is plenty. I'm at a point where it's going to be hard for me to expand very much more than this in any way that is going to add a whole lot more labor to what I'm doing. And the reason is, working 4 or 5 fields myself takes quite a while. It takes a few hours for me to get all the work done from, right now, mostly mowing grass. And then I have to, of course, come back and pick up the grass with the attachment, the trailer. And then I have to come back and fertilize. And then I have to come back and either spread lime or roll or anything else that might necessarily need to be done. But it takes several steps. Now, some of those I can have the AI do, and it's no big deal. But without course play, it takes a long time. And I'm at a point where I don't necessarily have that much time to spend each and every time I sit down. So I am anxiously awaiting course play to reach a point where it is going to meet my needs. So here, this is a great example. This particular field is a great example of sort of fitting it in where I could, because as we are currently oriented, on the left-hand side, we had both the road that ran up through there as well as the field of trees. Then on this side, I had, well, there's another rock formation that I had to squeeze it in next to. Again, try to get it up fairly close to the rocks to get as much field size and road as I can. But then as we move over in this direction, there are rocks up there, and they have me a touch worried because I think I might have pressed my luck a little bit too much and gotten too close to the rocks, but we'll see how that all turns out. If anything, I will just simply change and adjust the field size, but that is where we are so far. So my next steps, I would like to get possibly one more field out for my grain. Possibly 2, but at least one more, I feel like. And then, of course, that'll have to run into next season, because September and October will be the growing season, or excuse me, the planting season for the wheat this season. And so we'll have to look at an additional field next year, but thinking 1, maybe 2 more fields for that. But over here with the grass, that's probably as much as I'm going to do, again, until I get course play up and running whenever that becomes available. But so far, I am very happy with how things are turning out. Now, one thing you are going to notice, for those of you who like the perfect grid system, you are not going to like this, because this road network does not line up perfectly with any of the existing road networks that I currently have out there, which is perfectly fine for me, because I don't really care about that. I'm more happy and excited that I am able to work within the confines of what the game offers me as far as the map and all of the different formations. And I'm much less worried about the perfect grid system. But again, for those of you who like the perfect grid, that is not what you're going to find here on this map. So with that in mind, I have a lot more work to do here on the farm. I have got some wool to pick up over there from the animal enclosures. We're going to get the sheep wool, take that over to the spinnery and let that process begin. We are making lots of money, but it takes lots of time. So that's going to do it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will bring you back next time as we will continue to expand our farm here in No Man's Land.